Now to a developing story about a shooting that left a 9-year-old girl dead and her mother injured in the Heights area.
Now this morning, the accused gunman, who investigators say is the mother's ex-boyfriend, is behind bars. Our Brittany Jeffers is live for us this morning with what's next for that suspect and how the girl is being remembered. Brittany?
Yes, and we're learning even more details about this disturbing case. Going through court documents, says that the victim's mother says that Jones came to her apartment just last week with a gun and threatened to kill her. Now, as you mentioned, Jones was arrested last night. He's now in jail accused of shooting and killing that 9-year-old little girl named Kylie. 22-year-old Jeremiah Jones was arrested last night, accused of killing his ex-girlfriend's daughter, 9-year-old Kylie Sorrells. Court documents show that Brittany Sorrells and Jones ended their relationship 2 months ago, but investigators say that Jones showed up at Sorrells' apartment Monday night on the 400 block of Oxford in the Heights. According to documents, Sorrells was in bed watching a movie with Kylie and her 2 other children when Jones showed up, demanding he take a TV from the apartment he thought was his. He then ripped off a television from the wall. Documents say Jones demanded that she give him his phone and accused her of seeing another male. Sorrells gave Jones her phone, says he walked to the back bedroom. She says she heard 2 gunshots and saw the defendant exit the bedroom. 9-year-old Kylie died from her injuries. Sorrells suffered a gunshot wound to her arm. Jones now faces a capital murder charge as well as an aggravated assault charge. Domestic violence, police say, has impacted this family before. In the last month, there were 4 calls for service to that apartment unit. June 10th, 2 calls for threat by phone. And on June 7th, another disturbance call.
In Houston, Texas, on June 13, 2022, a mother's worst fear came true. 9-year-old Kylie Sorrells was snuggled in bed with her mom, Brittany, and her siblings, enjoying a movie night. But their cozy evening was shattered in an instant. A man burst into their apartment and stormed into the bedroom where the kids were. He fired 2 shots, and one hit Kylie in the head. That man was Jeremiah Jones, Brittany's ex-boyfriend. They'd only dated for 8 months, and she'd broken things off 2 months earlier. In the chaos that followed, Jones turned on Brittany. He forced her to the floor at gunpoint and shot her in the shoulder before running off. Despite her pain, Brittany managed to call for help. Emergency responders rushed both Kylie and Brittany to the hospital, but it was too late for Kylie. She passed away soon after arriving. This wasn't a random crime. It wasn't a surprise. It was a cold, calculated act of revenge by a man angry that Brittany had ended their relationship. What makes this story even more heartbreaking is that Brittany did everything she was supposed to do to protect herself and her kids. She left Jones. She filed multiple police reports. She even got a restraining order. Just 1 week before the attack, she told police that Jones had shown up at her apartment with a gun, threatening to kill her. The system knew Jones was dangerous. His criminal record went back to when he was just 12 years old. At the time of Kylie's murder, he was out on 5 separate bonds in Harris County, including one for illegally carrying a gun as a felon, a bond granted just 2 weeks before the shooting. Every safety net that should have protected this family failed them. A bright 9-year-old who loved playing basketball and making TikTok videos is gone forever. Her 2 young siblings had to watch their sister die. Brittany now carries the physical scars of her gunshot wound and the unbearable grief of losing her daughter. Today, we're not just looking at what happened on that horrific June night. We're asking why it was allowed to happen. How could a man with a violent past, who openly threatened to kill his ex just days before, walk free to carry out his plan? What went wrong in the system to let this tragedy unfold? And most importantly, what can be done to make sure no other child suffers the same fate as Kylie? These answers are crucial, not just for the Sorrells family, but for countless others across America living in fear of similar dangers. The National Coalition Against Domestic Violence says that having a gun in a domestic violence situation makes it 500% more likely for someone to be killed. Yet, time and again, our systems fail to see the warning signs before it's too late. If this story grabs your heart, and I hope it does, please think about subscribing to our channel. We dive into cases like this to shine a light on bigger truths about our society and justice system, hoping to stop future heartbreak. Your subscription keeps this work going. Let's honor Kylie Sorrells' memory by understanding her story and pushing for changes that could have saved her. Kylie wasn't just a victim or a number. At only 9 years old, she was already bursting with personality and passions that showed the incredible person she was becoming. As a student at Windsor Village Elementary School in Houston, Kylie lit up the room with her bright smile and lively spirit. Her teachers called her eager and curious, always jumping into class activities with excitement and asking questions about the world around her. But it was outside school where Kylie really sparkled. Basketball was her happy place, where she poured her energy, learned discipline, and felt the thrill of being part of a team. Even at her young age, her natural talent stood out, but her hard work was what truly shined. She practiced endlessly, perfecting her dribbling, shooting, and defense with a focus rare for a kid so young. Kylie's love for basketball led her to the Houston Police Department's Police Activities League, or HPDPL, a program that connects kids with police through sports and activities. There, she found not just coaches but mentors who saw her potential both on the court and in life. This program became a big part of who she was, giving her structure, guidance, and a sense of belonging. Staff remembered her for her grit and her knack for lifting up her teammates. During games, she'd be the first to cheer for others and the last to give up, no matter the score. Her death hit the program hard, with officers who knew her sharing deep sorrow over her loss. At home, Kylie was the big sister to 2 younger girls, aged 7 and 1. She naturally took on a caring, protective role. Family members said she helped her sisters with homework, made up fun games to keep them entertained, and pitched in with chores around the house without being asked. Like many kids her age, Kylie loved TikTok, creating dance videos with her 7-year-old sister. Those videos, still saved on her mom's phone, capture Kylie's pure joy, laughing, being goofy, and expressing herself through dance and music. Kylie's bond with her mom, Brittany, was extra special. As a single mom raising 3 girls, Brittany worked hard to give her daughters a stable, loving home despite tight finances. She made sure they had a good education, got Kylie into sports, and created a warm family environment. Neighbors often saw Brittany and Kylie walking to and from school, chatting about their day. Friends described their mother-daughter bond as one of deep respect and true friendship. Kylie even started noticing her mom's struggles and would leave little notes around the apartment to cheer her up, simple messages like, "You're the best mom," or drawings of hearts labeled for Brittany. These small acts showed Kylie's big heart and growing empathy, hinting at a future where she might have helped others in a big way. On the night of June 13, 2022, Kylie was doing something totally normal, watching a movie in bed with her mom and sisters, a cozy end to a regular day. That moment of family closeness makes what happened next even more gut-wrenching. To truly feel the weight of Kylie's loss, we have to think about what was taken, not just her life, but all the possibilities ahead. The basketball games she'll never play. The high school graduation she'll never celebrate. The career she'll never chase. The family she might have started one day. A bright light snuffed out way too soon. When we talk about violent crimes, especially involving kids, it's easy to focus only on the tragic ending. But Kylie Sorrells deserves to be remembered for how she lived, with joy, purpose, and love, not just for how her life was stolen. If this story tugs at your heart, please consider subscribing and sharing this video. Honoring victims like Kylie means celebrating who they were, not just focusing on their tragedy. Jeremiah Jones first got tangled up with the law when he was just 12 years old. What some might have brushed off as kid stuff was actually the start of a dangerous pattern that followed him into adulthood. By 2022, at age 22, Jones had racked up a long rap sheet that showed he was getting more violent. His adult crimes included serious stuff like fleeing from police in a car, threatening family members, breaking into homes, stealing, and trespassing. These weren't one-off mistakes. They showed a clear habit of ignoring the law and putting others in danger. Each crime wasn't just breaking a rule, it risked hurting people. His threats, especially, showed he wasn't afraid to scare and bully those close to him. Court records paint a picture of a guy who couldn't follow the rules, even when the courts gave him chances. He kept breaking the terms of his releases, including ignoring a protective order from another woman before he ever met Brittany Sorrells. His history screamed trouble, loud and clear, and all of it was right there in the court system's files for years. Brittany Sorrells met Jeremiah Jones in August 2021. At first, their relationship seemed normal, lasting about 8 months. How they met isn't clear from public records, but during that time, Jones hung out at Brittany's apartment, where she lived with her 3 daughters, including 9-year-old Kylie. For a while, they acted like a blended family, with Jones sometimes staying over and joining in on family moments. But people close to Brittany noticed things weren't right. Friends saw her grow quiet and nervous when talking about her relationship. Text messages later found by police showed Jones acting controlling, demanding to know where Brittany was and who she was talking to, especially other men. There were tensions bubbling under the surface that outsiders couldn't always see. Brittany told police that a few months in, Jones started acting possessive, especially about her phone and who she hung out with. Family members said he'd grab her phone without asking to snoop through her messages. He even got jealous of the time she spent with her kids, whining that she focused too much on being a mom instead of on him, a red flag for a single mother raising 3 young girls. By April 2022, things had gotten so bad that Brittany knew she had to end it. Court papers show she told Jones it was over and asked him to leave her alone. That tough choice came after months of his controlling behavior and angry outbursts. The breakup didn't go smoothly. Brittany told police that Jeremiah Jones refused to let go and tried to control her through fear. He blew up her phone with calls and texts, sometimes dozens in a single day, switching between begging her to come back and dropping creepy threats. When texts and calls weren't enough, Jones started showing up uninvited at her workplace and apartment. These surprise visits were scary because they showed he didn't care about her boundaries and was dead set on staying in her life, no matter what she wanted. Brittany fought back by taking action. She changed her phone number, switched up her work hours, and warned her building security about Jones. She also started the process to get legal protection. But over the next 2 months, things got worse. Jones's anger at being rejected boiled over into more aggressive behavior. Friends noticed Brittany was on edge, always checking over her shoulder in public and avoiding her usual routines, clear signs she knew she was in real danger. At the time of Kylie's murder, Jones was out on 5 separate bonds in Harris County, Texas. The latest one, granted just 2 weeks before the shooting, was for illegally carrying a gun as a felon. Despite all the proof that Jones was dangerous, the system kept letting him go. His history of ignoring protective orders should have raised major alarms when he asked for bail, but his cases were treated like no big deal. The choice to keep releasing Jones points to big problems in how bail decisions are made. Tools meant to spot people likely to commit more crimes while out on bail either weren't used properly or were ignored. Court records show Jones repeatedly skipped court hearings for past charges, which should have been a huge warning sign when considering bail. Those no-shows, plus his habit of breaking court rules, were red flags that nobody paid attention to. The bond system's focus on money also played a part. Jones could pay a percentage to bondsmen and walk free without anyone really checking how dangerous he was to Brittany or the community. This cycle of arrest and release kept Jones on the streets, even as his behavior got scarier. 1 week before Kylie's murder, things took a terrifying turn. Around June 6, 2022, court records say Jones showed up uninvited at Brittany's apartment complex on Oxford Street in Houston. This wasn't just an annoying visit, he came with a gun. During this confrontation, Jones pulled out the weapon and flat out told Brittany he was going to kill her. Witnesses later told police his threat was crystal clear, not some vague hint. With a gun in hand, he made it obvious her life was in danger, turning his harassment into a direct, deadly threat. Scared but determined to keep her daughters safe, Brittany didn't waste a moment. She called the Houston Police Department right after Jones showed up at her apartment, armed and threatening to kill her. She told officers everything, how he barged in, flashed a gun, and made a clear death threat. This report was added to her file, which already had records of Jones's earlier harassing behavior. That June 6 incident was a screaming red flag. Domestic violence experts say when an abuser threatens someone with a weapon, the chances of deadly violence skyrocket. The National Domestic Violence Hotline backs this up, stating that a gun in these situations makes murder 500% more likely. Brittany's case had all the warning signs of a disaster waiting to happen, demanding quick action. After breaking up with Jones in April, Brittany had done everything she was supposed to do. She filed official complaints about his harassment, got a restraining order to keep him away from her and her home, and kept police in the loop whenever he broke the rules. The restraining order was crystal clear: Jones couldn't come within 500 feet of her apartment, contact her or her kids, or even own a gun, especially since he was already a felon. Brittany didn't just get the paperwork and call it a day. She reported every violation, unwanted calls, texts, and times he showed up at her place. The June 6 incident was her most desperate call for help, as it involved both a broken restraining order and a bold death threat with a gun in his hand. Brittany followed every step victims are told to take. She documented everything, got legal protection, and stayed in touch with the police. By all measures, she did everything right. But the system meant to shield her and her kids let them down in big ways. First, the restraining order, while official, was just a piece of paper. Without police physically there to stop Jones, it only meant he could be punished after breaking it, not that it would keep him away. Second, even after Jones threatened Brittany with a gun on June 6, nothing happened. A whole week passed between that terrifying threat and Kylie's murder, with Jones still walking free despite clear proof he was getting more dangerous. Third, Jones being a felon caught with a gun, a major crime, didn't raise enough alarm. He'd been let out on bond for that exact charge just 2 weeks earlier, but this new incident didn't lead to his bond being cancelled or him being locked up. Fourth, the justice system dropped the ball on sharing information. When Brittany reported Jones's gun threat on June 6, the officers who responded might not have had quick access to his full criminal record or known he was out on multiple bonds. This gap kept them from seeing how dangerous he really was. Finally, there weren't enough resources to keep Brittany safe. Despite the obvious danger, no one offered her emergency housing or extra protection. If these breakdowns in the system shock you, you're not the only one. These failures put thousands of families across America at risk every single day. Please consider subscribing to our channel and sharing this video to spread the word about these urgent issues. By understanding where the system fails, we can push for real changes that could save lives. Your support helps keep these critical conversations about safety and victim protection alive. June 13, 2022, started like any other Monday for the Sorrells family. Brittany, 29, had tucked her 3 daughters, 9-year-old Kylie and her younger sisters, ages 7 and 1, into bed early. The 4 of them were snuggled up in the main bedroom of their apartment at 404 Oxford Street in Houston, watching a movie. Outside, the summer night was warm, just another typical June evening in Houston. Around 10 p.m., their cozy moment was shattered. Jeremiah Jones burst into the apartment through the front door, which was left unlocked. Brittany's cousin had been moving stuff in and out all day, so the door wasn't locked like usual. Court records say Jones stormed through the apartment with a clear purpose, his anger already boiling over. His first move showed how worked up he was. He demanded a TV he claimed was his. Without waiting for Brittany to say a word, he yanked the television off the wall, wrecking both the TV and the wall. Then his attention turned to Brittany. "Give me your phone," he barked, accusing her of seeing another man. Jones's accusation that Brittany was seeing someone else was baseless, she later told police, but it showed the same jealousy and control that had poisoned their relationship. Trying to calm things down, Brittany handed over her phone. She was painfully aware her 3 daughters were in the bedroom, close enough to hear the tense argument. Jones's voice grew louder and angrier as they argued in the front of the apartment. What happened next changed the Sorrells family forever. Suddenly, Jones stopped arguing and marched toward the back bedroom where Kylie and her sisters were. Brittany told investigators she froze, her heart pounding, unsure of what Jones was about to do but terrified of the possibilities. Moments later, 2 gunshots exploded from the bedroom. Jones walked back out, his face cold and hard. Without a word, he forced Brittany to the floor, pointing his gun at her. Staring down the barrel, she feared for her life and her kids. Then he pulled the trigger, shooting her in the shoulder. With Brittany bleeding on the floor, Jones bolted from the apartment, vanishing into the night. Despite the pain and terror, Brittany's mom instincts kicked in. Clutching her wounded shoulder, she grabbed her phone and dialed 911. Her desperate call, later played in court, captured the raw agony of that moment. "He shot my daughter. He shot my daughter. He shot me. He needs to go to jail. He shot my baby. Please hurry." Houston police and paramedics rushed to the scene within minutes. They found Brittany awake but bleeding heavily from her shoulder. In the bedroom, they saw Kylie with a bullet wound to her head. Her 2 younger sisters, unharmed but shaken to their core, were still in the room with their critically injured big sister. Paramedics jumped into action, trying to save Kylie while others treated Brittany's wound. Police secured the apartment as a crime scene, collecting evidence and taking Brittany's initial statement. Both Brittany and Kylie were sped to hospitals, Kylie to Texas Children's Hospital and Brittany to Ben Taub Hospital, according to court records. Doctors fought hard to save Kylie, but the gunshot to her head had done devastating damage. Despite their efforts, Kylie Sorrells was pronounced dead shortly after arriving. Across town, surgeons worked to repair Brittany's shoulder wound. The bullet tore through Brittany's upper left shoulder, causing serious damage but luckily missing major arteries. After emergency surgery to remove bullet fragments and fix the wound, doctors stabilized her. Then came the heart-wrenching news about her daughter, Kylie. In the hospital waiting room, family members gathered, grappling with the unthinkable. Kylie's grandmother, Tracy Sorrells, arrived to a family forever shattered. Hospital staff gave Brittany, still weak from surgery, a private room to mourn with her loved ones as they faced their crushing grief. Social workers and victim advocates stepped in to help the family cope with the immediate fallout and start planning Kylie's funeral. Meanwhile, Brittany's 2 younger daughters, who had witnessed their sister's murder, were placed in temporary care by Child Protective Services to keep them safe while the family sorted out next steps. The girls, deeply traumatized, would need special counseling to process what they'd been through in the days and weeks ahead. The Houston Police Department quickly named Jeremiah Jones as the suspect, thanks to Brittany's statement and her earlier reports about his threats. They sent out a citywide alert, warning that Jones was armed and dangerous. The Homicide Division worked through the night, piecing together evidence from the crime scene and talking to witnesses. They mapped out Jones's movements before and after the shooting, tracked possible hideouts, and teamed up with other law enforcement agencies in the area. By morning, they had solid leads on where he might be. Officers from multiple units, including the Houston Police Department's SWAT team, were sent to hunt him down. Knowing Jones's violent past and that he was carrying a gun, they planned carefully. On June 14, 2022, less than a day after Kylie's murder, SWAT officers found Jones near Spring, Texas, a suburb north of Houston. They pulled off a smooth arrest operation, taking him into custody without a fight. At the time, Jones had a gun on him, which ballistics tests later confirmed was the one used in the shooting. Jones was brought to Houston Police Headquarters, where he was charged with capital murder for killing Kylie and aggravated assault for shooting Brittany. Given the seriousness of the crimes and his long criminal record, Jones was locked up without bail, awaiting his first court appearance. After his arrest on June 14, 2022, Jeremiah Jones faced the full force of Texas law. He was charged with capital murder for killing Kylie Sorrells and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon for shooting Brittany Sorrells. In Texas, capital murder for a victim under 10 years old can mean life in prison without parole or even the death penalty. Jones appeared in court for the first time on June 21, 2022, where the judge refused to let him out on bail, pointing to the horrific nature of the crimes and Jones's long criminal record. The court found the evidence clear, the gun matched, and Brittany identified Jones as the shooter. But no verdict could ever bring back 9-year-old Kylie. Her family now carries her memory forward, through stories of her laughter, her love for basketball and TikTok, and her bond with her sisters. In the face of tragedy, they've chosen remembrance and resilience. Kylie's death is a heartbreaking reminder that domestic violence doesn't always end in bruises. Sometimes, it ends with the loss of a child. If you or someone you know is in danger, don't wait. Speak up. Your voice might save a life. May Kylie be remembered not just for how her life ended, but for the light she brought into the world. Every view helps keep these stories alive. Subscribe to honor victims. Share to protect the next child.